In this video, I'm going to show you guys how to set up a drop shot rig. Probably my favorite rig of all rigs you could use for fishing. Alright, so I got my hook here, I got my line here, I'm going to tie a Palomar knot. And for this video, I'm going to assume you know what a Palomar knot is. So if you don't know what a Palomar knot is, go ahead and click on this link here and I have a video that'll teach you how to tie a Palomar knot. For this video, it's just a drop shot rig. So I'm going to go ahead and tie my hook here. But what's important when I do this is that I need to leave a longer piece of line here. And if you know what a Palomar knot is, you know what I'm talking about. Alright, a longer piece of line so that when you finish your knot, you've got a real long piece of line, maybe like 18 to 24 inches long. This is what you're going to tie your weight to. Alright, it doesn't have to be that long, but I try to err on the side of having it be a little too long than a little too short, because you can always clip off a little bit if you only want it to be 12 inches below the hook. I'm talking about the weight now because the weight's going to tie to this line when we're done. So if you only want it 12 inches below the hook, I might do maybe 15 to 18 inches as far as extra line here, and then I'll just cut it to the length that I want. So I'm going to tie my Palomar knot, and that tag end line that I would normally cut off is going to be longer. Alright, so for this right now, I probably set it at, I don't know, it's probably about 2 feet from the hook, which is fine. So I'm going to leave it at that length. If you wanted it shorter, this is where you can cut off a little bit if you want this to, if you don't want the weight to be that far below your hook. Alright, so I got my hook here. Now this is really important. I'm going to take this piece of line here that I normally would cut off if I was normally tying a regular knot to just like a lure or a regular hook. I'm going to take this line and I'm going to run this piece of line through the eye of the hook with the hook position like this. Alright, this way when you, here, let me get you a better shot here. Alright, so I got that through there. Hopefully you guys saw that. This way, that when, by doing it this way, you're going to have the hook sit up like that. So your bait's going to look more realistic. Your hook's going to be in a better position when you're fishing this on the bottom. And I'll show you in the tank here real quick, just so you can see what I'm talking about. Alright, so I've got my extra line here. I've got about 2 feet of line. I got my hook tied. Now I have to attach my weight to this line. So I'm going to use this type of weight. I love these weights. And I tie 4 overhand knots to the weight. Now you can use any weight that you would like. Big carp jumping next to me in the river. I like to use 4 overhand knots here because I want the knot to be strong enough. I'm gonna mess that up a little bit. Alright, so I got 1 knot here. Tie 4 overhand knots. There's 2. There we go. There's 3. There's 4. Alright, this is important because I want this knot to be strong enough. Now I'm going to cut off the tag end line here. So I want this knot to be strong enough so that if I get a snag, I can work this snag out. Whether I'm, jerking my rod tip a few times. Sometimes if I could just work it out, it'll come out. Other times I have to actually reposition the boat, get on the other side of the snag, and then pop this weight out. Usually I can get the snags out pretty easy, whether it's rock or wood. But if I use the weights that some anglers use, there's these drop shot weights where you just put your line into like this little notch, and then you pull up, and then it'll actually attach to a weight. It's not this weight, but it's a similar type of weight with this special little notch on there. So what's going to happen is when you get a snag, if you pull tight and try to work the snag out, usually if you pull it kind of hard, it's going to pull the line through the weight. So the weight's going to sit on the bottom. The nice thing about this is you're going to have your extra piece of line still, and now you can just put on a new weight and you're ready to fish again. However, with this setup, you're going to lose a lot of weights that you could have spent a minute or two to get the weight out. So for me, I like to use this setup where I tie 4 overhand knots. This is strong enough so I can work the sinker out and not lose the weight. But if I have to snap this line, if I'm going to snap the line, I don't want to snap the line at the hook and have to retie this whole rig because it takes a couple minutes to retie. So for me, with this 4 overhand knot setup here with the weight, if I pull this weight so hard because I can't get it out and I try to snap it, I try to break it off, this knot is much weaker than my Palomar knot to my hook, so it's going to snap here or just pull off, and I'm going to have this extra piece of line still with my hook, and then I just tie on another sinker. So for me, this is the best way to do it. But drop shot rig here, guys, we are all set. I'm pretty much finished with this video. I've got my hook, I've got my tag line here, I've got my weight. I'm going to show you in the tank one more time so you see how this looks, and whether you tie it to a sinker or you use some of those cool drop shot weights that just pull off, or you just use a split shot or any other type of sinker, that's up to you. But the drop shot rig is one of the most effective rigs for fishing with all types of baits, live baits and artificial baits, for a variety of species of fish.